it looks pretty similar racially to the community of Alpharetta, which I think is great. So that's where I feel the responsibility really right now is for our staff. I feel like our staff needs to look more like the community.
Yeah, that's good. Well, never intended to talk about that.
Well, it's such a big. I mean, it is so important.
It is important.
I mean, I feel like going deeper with some, going deep with a few. That's the other thing that I've really tried to do. I mean, we have a brand new environment that we're trying here on Sunday nights because we don't have a big population of the 20-something crowd, and so we have a new environment that happens at 7 here at North Point. We call it MP Nights, and we have 5 or 6 25, 26, 27-year-olds that I've asked to lead this thing. And out of those 5, 2 of them are black, and they've become I knew them well, but they've become great friends, and that's been really helpful to start creating an environment with people that are already diverse, and I don't, North Point didn't intend to, but North Point started with all white people. So of course, you're gonna make decisions from the perspective of a white person because that's who you is. So that's right.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful for me personally. Is just to go deep with a couple of really close friends now, just to help us see and help us. I mean, it's one of the beauties of marriage. You work so hard at first trying to get the other person to see the way you see, because the way you see is correct.
Right.
And then you finally realize, like the fact that they see it the way they see it is actually a gift because now I can see it from my way and from their way. That's actually better that way. So that's been really helpful lately, just to not for each one of us to go, hey, come see it my way, but so that we could both go, hey, there's beauty in us both being a part of this because we see it different. So
I agree. I've spent a lot of time lately just really being intentional about this that we're talking about, and just trying to what I would say is not only see but empathize, and even go to the point of as a white person lamenting, and really understanding how to be sorry for something that maybe you aren't directly connected to, but you still are a benefactor of.
That's a great way to say it.
So for me, it's been really good to just absorb it, and sometimes you need to be the person absorbing it. You know? And so anyway, I truly believe it's going to look a lot like Shawshank Redemption as far as it's going to be a both friendship kind of way in which we lead out of this sense of racism. It's not going to be a white solution or a black solution. It's going to be like totally working together to do that. So
you could, at this point, you could get elected with that right there, Brian. That's really good. I'm serious.
I don't know what I'd be wanting to be elected to.
Well, in heaven,
okay, all right.
I'm in on earth, but I mean, I was just going to say heaven. I think to your point, it probably will look a lot more like Shawshank Redemption, and I love reminding our church that God is not white. I mean, it's really helpful for all of us to be reminded that God is not American. He doesn't just speak English, and he's not just white.
Republican,
and he's
like
doing
that. I think he's
definitely not a Republican.
Done being Republican. All right, so I want to ask you a little bit about a little theme I saw in your top 10.
Okay,
and I want to hear your response to it. So almost every single movie that I saw involved a kind of catch me if you can aspect to it. So there was a chase, or there's a kind of a person who's trying to get out of this predicament. There's a if we just go through it, obviously you have with Shawshank, you have him these sneaky, elaborate plans of getting out or getting even, or and so Andy has this kind of sneaky way of we don't know it, but the whole time of getting
he's
out.
Working on something, right?
Obviously, with Catch Me If You Can, you've got a guy chasing another guy. Born Identity, they're chasing him. You can even say that about Force Awakens. When Friday, they're after them. They're in this huge predicament that they're in Raising Arizona. They're after him. Or they're being pursued because of the baby. And then you have, even with Rushmore, the two, the Bill Murray character and him kind of going at it with each other. And then No Country for Old Men, where he's, this guy's chasing this guy. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that. We call it, in the story world, we call this kind of cat and mouse thing, plots. What would you say about that? Like, how does that hit you when I say that?
I have friends that are psychology majors or psychologists. I've got two brother-in-laws that are psychologists. I feel like whenever I'm around them, you feel like they're always sizing you up, making judgments and assessments.
Well, no judgment here.
I feel that way right now.
Oh, sorry.
No, in a positive way. I mean, I don't feel.
No, I just one of the things we do is I just look at things and go, tell me about that, because it has to. I truly believe that God put this top 10 together for you because He's speaking into your story. And so when I see all of that, I go, well, what is it? Is there anything about the concept of the chase that
connects to my own life?
Yeah.
I don't know. I am rarely at a loss for words, but
well,
that's a great question.
It doesn't have to be, It doesn't have to be. When I looked at it, I just went, wow, this is really pretty. Even if you look at the way you were talking about Good Will Hunting earlier, it's kind of a little bit of a cat and mouse game.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sean's trying to pursue him. Will's like, you're not going to get into me.
Exactly.
You're not going to get inside of this wall that I built.
And that's almost the same thing as, Born Identity or Catch Me If You Can or any of these movies that kind of have a pursuer and a person who's being pursued.
Sure. I probably have, I think there's I have a brother-in-law who he's actually the one that's not a psychologist. And one time I was peppering him with questions about his life, and he said, "Have you ever noticed that you ask a lot of questions and you don't give a lot of information?"
Wow.
And that was the first time I'd ever, when somebody makes you aware of something, you're like, well, I've never thought about that, but now that you say that, yes. So I definitely have this curiosity in me about other people, but I also, they're probably in that as well as probably some kind of fear of intimacy or maybe afraid. And I hope being a pastor does not make it worse, but it would certainly make sense if it did.
Just because you're on the platform.
Exactly. There's subtle pressure that, if other people mess up, it's more okay. As a pastor, I mean, part of my profession depends on me being able to keep my personal life together.
It's true.
It is true. Yeah. I mean, it's scary, and it's a little sad that that's the way our culture works, but it just does. I mean, I don't even think it needs to change. I think it's good. I think people that we allow to speak into our lives, you have to have some kind of respect for them. Like what makes me want to invite you into the deep, dark depths of my soul and let you speak into that, unless you have figured out something that you could help me with. So maybe there's something in me that relates to that, a little fearful of being known or of connecting on a deeper level with someone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying that, and I'm like, I should probably go sit down and talk to someone professional about that.
No, not
so
at
that's
all.
Helpful, though. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even want to make it feel like that. That's not the purpose of the question. I think that anything that I want to do with the questions that I ask or the things that I see in the films is to encourage and also to affirm, because I believe God's trying to say something really great about your story. And to me, when I saw this chasing and pursuing and everything like that, it kind of just made me think that there was a sense of there's something you're after, right? And it needs to, and it's elusive, but at the same time, it's something that you identify as being the thing that needs to be caught or needs to be after, or needs to be let out, as far as like Andy being let out of prison.
That's right.
But
no, that is that's interesting. That's what's so fascinating about what you've created is it's such a unique way to figure out what's in somebody's soul.
If I were a pastor, right?
Yeah.
There would be so much, especially at this level that you're at right now with North Point. there'd be such a sense in which I'm thinking about Catch Me If You Can. Like, am I who I'm supposed to be when they see me up there,
right.
or does that feel like a con? Kind of aspect to it. And even though you would never con anyone, the concept of making sure that you're being as authentic as possible. Yep. I've heard you preach, and I feel like it comes from a place of tremendous authenticity, and it comes from a place of your story. You're very, very willing to tell people the latest thing that's going on or the thing you're doing. So is that a struggle? Just to sort of make sure you don't, don't appear to be conning, because that's what pastors are perceived as.
Yes, right. I think that's definitely a temptation. I think probably what might even make it more challenging. I feel as a preacher. And I preach probably, with our adult services 15 times a year or so, but then every week I'm doing something in front of a group of people. Yeah. There's this entertainment side of it, which I love. I enjoy that a lot. So it's kind of there's two levels. There's the level of, as a pastor, you're supposed to, everyone has a conception of who you're supposed to be. So that is a temptation. I do feel, one of the things I love about our organization, and my boss Andy Stanley leads this way, of just feeling like, hey, you actually draw people in with vulnerability and not trying to have it all together. So I feel like we try to cut the BS and say, hey, look, I know. I don't have it all together, So let's just get it out there. Let me just start this message with, here's how I struggle. This is what I'm dealing with. So I feel grateful for the culture I'm in that really tries to resist that Southern cultural expectation of who a pastor should be and what he should and shouldn't say and should and shouldn't look at on Sunday.
Or what he should and shouldn't have on his top 10 film list.
Exactly.
The thing that I love about your movies is that they're very diverse, and they speak to someone who sat here and go, well, this is a pastor who put these on? No Country for Old Men?
Where's Fireproof?
Yeah, exactly. So I love it because it speaks more to you being honest about what you love. Tell me about No Country for Old Men, because it's a pretty big
dark
film. It's pretty dark, but at the same time, it has some serious spiritual resonance in it. Either sort of that concept of what it would look like to have an avenging angel like coming after you, like and the presence of evil being so huge. Why did you resonate with the film?
I think, again, I've never thought of any of this stuff, so I'm like, this is all off the cuff. It's good. I love this, but I don't like the lamb holding picture of Jesus with the long flowing hair.
Is that another kind of con in your?
Maybe so. Yeah. I like I've come to kick some tail Jesus, the kick a Jesus, that Jesus. Yeah. Because I do feel like Jesus, the power of what he did on the cross and the power of the resurrection, I think there was a literal resurrection. Something seemed like it really happened 2,000 years ago. That's a pretty bold, courageous, brave act that he did. And to think that he did that so that he could demolish shame and regret and, honestly, what we're talking about, so that he could demolish the phony sense of you got to have it all together that is so pervasive in all of us, but particularly pastors. I just like that. I think it's remarkable. It's emotional. Yeah. And so I like that character. I can't think of his name, but it's the one that, is it Josh Brolin played, where he's like, I'm coming back after you, and nothing's going to stop me. I like that picture. Easter, the thing that makes me emotional around Easter, and other times of the year obviously as well, but always, because Easter's such a reminder of it, but is the rescuer that Jesus was, that he came to rescue us. I mean, that's a component